Yeah, they said, don't worry. Pros with big names drive out here from across the country to move, and they pack up their stuff and leave in the middle of the night. Because I mean, you people were crying. I was crying, but like, you know, I am who I am now, and I stuck things out longer than everybody. And I mean, oh yeah. When I say it, I think legitimately I sparred more top MMA fighters than anyone else on the planet.
Hey guys, got a really fun video for you today. It's what's it like training with real MMA legends? I'm talking top level guys from the UFC, heavyweight and light heavyweight champions, best of the best. Well, nobody knows better than Dan the Wolfman. He's trained with these guys numerous times, and he's going to share his experience with us. Make sure to check out his YouTube channel, by the way. It's called Catch Jitsu. I'll link it in the description below. It's kind of a play on words with catch wrestling and jiu-jitsu. So Dan, in general, has dedicated his life to the martial arts. He's highly skilled, been doing it for over 30 years, got black belts in Taekwondo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, even under Judo Gene LaBelle in his grappling system. So Dan knows what he's talking about. He's got all the experience in the world. Now, like I mentioned, his YouTube channel is cool, and he's got a lot of good videos on there. You can learn some pretty cool techniques, but if you want to get really in-depth, make sure to check out his Combatives and Street Jiu Jitsu system. He sells it on this website, which I'll link in the description below. It's got 4.5 hours of content, so you're going to learn all these great techniques. Also, check out his website called thecombatsystem.com, also linked in the description below. Now, the prior video I did, I titled it, Is Michael Jai White Delusional? Based on the fact that he trains with all these MMA guys, and he kind of puts himself up there as being as good or better. So Dan actually got to meet Michael Jai White, and I kind of picked his brain on how he thinks Michael Jai White is skill-wise and where he thinks Michael Jai White would stand if he were to actually fight and compete against these top-level MMA guys. But anyway, if you like this kind of content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed, and let's get to the conversation with Dan the Wolfman.
Other trainers and fighters, they're done after 10 years. Their body's shot. My body's shot. But I kept it up for 20, 22 years. Occasionally, I still get on the mat with someone who's like a known guy or whatever. You know,
who would
just
you
because of the
say,
travel.
real quick, is the best UFC fighter you've trained or sparred with? Or at least like maybe a couple names if you can't just boil it down to one.
I've I've sparred a lot, just champions in UFC, light heavyweight. I don't know who's the best. I sparred Werdum about 5 times. Fabricio Werdum. I sparred Cain Velasquez once. I
Wow.
sparred Tim Sylvia for 14 months, even though I weighed 202 and he was 300 as heavyweight champ, cutting to 265. Sparred Rico Rodriguez a few times, heavyweight champ. I sparred Tito Ortiz for 4 months. I sparred Rampage for 4 months. I sparred Lyota Machida for 3 months into that first Ryan Bader flawless victory fight where he didn't get touched because I pretended to be Bader, except for the very first round I sparred him. I said, I'm going to spar you as me, and then I'm going to be Ryan Bader and be your best sparring partner, is what I told Lyota. What other light heavyweight champs have I gone with? I mean,
I'm a huge Machida fan, by the way. That's awesome.
yeah, I am too to this day, and I respect him and Chinzo a lot. And I learned a couple of very good things from them. I did teach them some of my anti-cage tactics, the head twist and the throat shove. And Chinzo did it in RFA. He was the first to do the legitimate throat shove. Moroto Dori for you keto guys off the cage. And at the last second, he pushed the guy off and he tried to turn his head and bailed. But I legitimately taught him that. And then Barboza did it twice against Khabib. And then Nagano actually did my head twist to Stipe in the first fight in the first round. There's the only time I said, this is something that guys need to do against better wrestlers. When you're not going to make it up in a 3-month camp, a world champion wrestler that's been wrestling since he was 4 versus like jiu-jitsu, boxer, MMA guy that is like going to bring a wrestling coach in for 3 months. I mean, it helps, but it's not going to make up the disparity.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah, Lyota was awesome. He didn't hit hard, but he hit precise. He never hit me anywhere other than my chin.
No, real quick, the kind of sparring and training you're doing with them, are they specifically bringing you in for like their fight camps? Is that, or are you just like happen to be at those gyms that they train at? Or is it just
no, just kind of happen to be there. Other than Lyota, I mean, I happened to be there, but I did tell him that, and I think he understood that. So the first round, I very much sparred him with all my weird stuff and did some pretty cool stuff, including a straight blast, including a Kali Tudo entry clinch to the cage.
And even if you think these punches are not powerful, it's an entry to the dark side, to the backside of your opponent.
Couldn't take him down. His balance was phenomenal. I never took him down.
Yeah, I see him doing like these one-legged drills on like these giant rubber band thingies, to try to keep his balance.
Yeah.
He'd probably be really good at surfing, I would think.
I'm surprised he doesn't. I don't think he does.
Mm.
Maybe he's gotten into it a couple times. Most of the Brazilian black belts do.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, most of the jiu-jitsu black belts from Brazil, they all surfer. They're all surfer bros. I almost killed myself during that 11 days having the time of my life with girls all over the world in Hermosa Beach back when I was young. I like almost killed myself on a board the second time and
Really?
got caught under the wave with my feet underneath and I was stuck. I couldn't move and
Oh,
I
that's
went
gotta be
underneath,
scary.
boom, hit my head. I get out of the water. I'm like this. And the guy's like, comes up behind me like, dude, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. He's like, good, get the off our beach.
Okay. I know. This is where you tell me all about how locals rule and yuppie insects like me shouldn't be surfing your break and all that, right?
So
Yeah.
I haven't surfed since.
Yeah, I can't blame you, man. Not the best experience. Now, real quick, going with these sparring.
Verdum's
So,
very, very skilled.
now,
Verdum's very, very
how was the intensity though? Because I know you said Machida was really precise. Like, how rough was the sparring?
Sylvia banged it out with me hard. Tito would grapple super hard. Rampage slammed me once, even though I had a guillotine with my base wide against the ground. He actually suplexed me over his head, pro wrestling fisherman suplex style, up in Big Bear. He did hit me with a left hook up in Big Bear that rocked my world.
Wow.
I mean,
no, he's
back
got
in the
heavy
day,
punches,
we used to
man.
spar very hard. Sylvia used to beat the shit out of me, and I would run and jab and kick. And then that's when guys just said, "What? Well, you're running." And later that became intelligent fighting. But back then,
No,
like why you? I'm like, because he's 6'8". I'm under 5'11" with short arms. I'm gonna jab and kick his legs and move. That's why.
yeah.
But we used to go really hard. Lyota went hard, but not that hard, except the first round. The first round, because I'm guessing this was probably after I straight blasted him, and I think he just covered up. And so boom, boom, boom. I didn't nail. I mean, I might have hit him once in the face, and then boom, 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 boom. JKD straight blast, Wing Chun chain punch to the clinch. After that, towards the end of the round, he threw a right leg back side kick to my liver that would have killed me. I barely got my elbow down in front of my liver. Ugh. And it still hurt because the elbow pushed all the way into my liver. So, I mean, I was microseconds away from being dropped had I not gotten that elbow down, and it still friggin' hurt. Other than that, he was mostly just a precision, and I do think I helped him as a sparring partner because I would lunge in with overhand rights, go for singles, go for overhand into doubles, try to get him his back to the cage control to then shoot and clinch him. And I think by purposely telegraphing some big shots and stuff, fighting like Bader used to do before he kind of cleaned up boxing, I do think that helps. I try to be the best sparring partner I can to guys and not injure anybody. But I've gone, I mean, all the lower weight classes I've gone with just tons and tons of guys. Some were phenomenal grapplers. Like during that time, Roger Gracie, I was sparring Roger Gracie. That's when I started calf kicking because I threw an MMA sparring after like the third low kick I threw. He just took his big 6'4", he has very long arms, chopped down on my leg, and now I got Roger Gracie on top of me. That's not a great thing in MMA. So that's when I went Eureka. I started doing calf kicks because I was training with I should give him more credit. Benny the Jet, how do you say it?
Urquidez, yeah.
Thank you. I was training with Benny the Jet at the time. Now he wasn't really teaching us to throw them hard, but he was calling them sweeps. And he also taught a lot of the front ball kick to the lower abs that you saw get popular in MMA after Conor McGregor started doing it and stuff. Instead of push kicking to the chest, penetrate, piercing front ball kick.
Yeah, no, McGregor's landed those really nice. That's a nice move.
That's a good move.
You're not kidding. That's a good move.
And so you talk about Benny the Jet, I'm sure, in your movies and Jackie Chan, Drunken Master 2 and stuff like that. I'm sure he's come up in some of your videos.
He has. Real quick, Dan, though, before we get off the topic, so about you were I guess the sparring was pretty hard, it sounded like. Now I wanted to ask you, because John Jones says he. Oh,
You're
no,
talking
no, no.
Michael Jai White.
Sorry.
Oh.
Michael Jai White. Michael Jai White.
It's a weird spot with MJW.
You know, I know he trains with a lot of these MMA guys, but he says he spars them too. And the only footage I've seen, honestly, it's like the kind of stuff I do with my brother for fun at the gym, where we're pulling stuff, we're tagging stuff, and it's a fun workout, but it's nowhere near like a real fight. So I'm asking because in the video that I posted earlier, AJ's saying,
come on, I mean, let's be honest. That little sparring match between him and John Jones, it looks like if you're watching two lion kittens play fighting. They're laughing, they're touching each other and hugging each other in between. That's not remotely close to even real sparring. I mean, come on, dude. And he's essentially saying sparring is fighting. And if you watch all of his sparring matches, it is super light contact.
You know, he uses that as his case. They shouldn't be able to make these claims that he's, you know, superior than a lot of fighters because the kind of sparring he does.
I don't know. Did he ever fall in the All Japan in Kyokushin? Like, have we seen? I mean, there's like 10 seconds of him in some sparring, I think, hook kicking a guy in the head. I think that's all I've ever seen. But I mean, was that full contact? I mean, Kyokushin's no punches to the face, but it was in All Japan. If we had that footage, it would matter. Look, the guy can be a little bit cocky. He's a legit, jacked, superior athlete dude. You know, he had fast twitch white muscle fibers. You know, like he's a legit guy in that way. So
now Michael Jai White trains with a lot of the MMA guys too, apparently. And I don't know. Have you ever run like into him like in a gym and train with him or anything?
I had hoped to run into him at a Kyokushin school, North Hollywood-ish. I got to think where it was. Somewhere in Glendale or Burbank. I lived in Burbank. So there was a Kyokushin school, and he would stop by occasionally there. So I stopped by there a couple of times to watch class. I go to watch all styles. Sure. Even if I don't participate all the time, sometimes I'll watch, sometimes I'll participate. So I'd hope to bump into him sometime there. Actually, I'm forgetting. Years ago, I did bump into him when I was very first in Hollywood in 2002, at the end of 2002, early 2003. And I do want to give the man props. He is very big, very athletic, very powerful. Power is a little different than strong. People call people strong, but he had quick, explosive power. And I go, this guy's legit, at least as a striker. Now, if he gets cracked good, people fall down all the time. We don't know that. I'm not degrading the man. Maybe his childhood was rough. I don't know. He alluded to that in a couple interviews. You know, someone gets cracked, and a lot of people are the hammer, but not the nail. That's why MMA is beautiful. It shows you truth. But as far as a striker with all his black belts,
how many different disciplines are you doing of martial arts?
Well, I have 8 black belts now. So
no, are you serious? 8?
And seeing the different places he goes to boxing gym in Kyokushin, LA, and downtown Little Tokyo. I sparred people there on a Saturday, including a 18-year-old like world champion dude. I think he's least legitimate as a striker. As a grappler, I mean, who knows?
Sure.
You know, if someone really legit, black belt, as big as him, gets him side mounted, you know, might be in a long night for him. I don't know. I'm sure he has some judo, you know, some of the little dorky cult jiu-jitsu guys were in the movie with him, and Never Back Down 2, I think, like that I've sparred. Like, I mean, I'm sure he knows something and can handle himself really well. But I felt like, at least as a striker, he understood things about power, initial acceleration. We talked about, I think, about being non-telegraphic.
I explained to him that the concept was basically technique, well, untelegraphed technique, but when you add speed on top of it, that this was the result.
And you see his kicks in movies. You can't really fake that.
Oh yeah, I mean even
he's
Joe
up there.
Rogan said they're super sharp. Obviously,
So-
you being a black belt in Taekwondo, you would know good and bad kicks too.
He kicks perfect.
Yeah.
He does everything. He's like 100% legit black belt.
You know, he's legit, and I'm giving him props.
Oh,
I would
sure.
love to work with him someday. Can he be a little bit cocky? Yeah.
The person in the Expendables I could definitely whoop is
The Expendables.
Should he act like he could get in there with Cain Velasquez or something? I did sparring, but I have no doubts in my mind that if it was an MMA fight, that Cain would have. And I was scared because it was a week before his fight and he didn't know who I was. Herschel Walker's shin guard went sideways. He said, Dan, get in there with Cain. In the beginning of the round, I said, whoa, that's up to him. He's fighting next week. And he just goes like, come on. I mean, I know that Cain would have kicked my butt or any of the heavyweights. Light heavyweight, I did pretty good, even though they used to scare me, their size and height and reach. But because of my speed and distance control, I didn't give myself as much credit. I got like no fear now. If you're not shooting at me or stabbing me, yeah, I don't care, dude. I haven't been knocked out from all these heavyweight champions hitting me. I haven't been knocked out. Like I'm good. You know.
So you've never been knocked out? Because I think
I've been dropped. I've been dropped to my knees before. Yeah, okay. I've been dropped, and especially the first night at Milicic, just Tim Sylvia and Tony Fricklin beat the hell out of me. It should be illegal. I mean, that might have given me, CTE that leads to autoimmune disease. But
so they basically are you saying they pretty much went like as hard on you as like a real fight almost?
The first night at Milicic's camp.
What are you guys doing? This is supposed to be an exhibition. You understand? An exhibition.
Wow.
Yeah. They said, don't worry. Pros with big names drive out here from across the country to move, and they pack up their stuff and leave in the middle of the night. Because I mean, you people were crying. I was crying. Like I got beat bad that first night. I mean, sparring was no joke after that. We sparred too hard. Shootbox and MFS back in the day did sparring way too hard. But before the technical advancements happened, a couple years later, that's why they were the top teams in the world too. I went to Pride tryouts against Tony Galindo, who had knocked out a bunch of dudes in like 6 seconds at King of the Cage, the Lions Den fighter. And I had no fear, even though I didn't know if my arm was going to re-tear because I just had pec surgery. I hadn't done anything. So, but like he hit me, and I'm like, oh, this ain't Tim Sylvia hitting me. This ain't Ben Rothwell hitting me. This ain't Sam Hoger hitting me, who was a heavyweight, even though he cut at 205. He walked at 265. It gave you a lot of confidence back then. And confidence in being in shape goes a long, long way, though I think we've learned to train smarter in the days. Even my first night at Black House, Kevin Casey hit me real hard with a hook or overhand or something. He started bombing on me too hard. I said, whoa, dude, back it off a little bit. It's like, what? I'm like, dude, back it off a little bit or I'm going to throw two and one of us is going to get a cut. And he was kind of a dick about it. And I was real pissed that night, man. I was real pissed. I wanted to and the next day, as soon as he walks in, he's like, dude, you were right. I got something coming up. I don't need a cut. You were right, So, those things happen in the gym sometimes, especially if you're the new meat, people might test you. I'm a tough guy. I went through the toughest sport in the world when it was no holds barred and became MMA. Yeah, no one paid me to be a sparring partner. I took way too much brain damage for some of these people that, they weren't buying me lunches or nothing,
Yeah. Are you training any professional fighters right now? You have your own dojo, right?
No, I don't have my own dojo. I'm doing acting and stunt work in Atlanta. I teach one buddy some videos we do some stuff with. I give some advice to one fighter over Skype. But that's about it. I mean, I wish I was at one of the bigger camps doing things, but people judge me based on posts from 15, 20 years ago when I was a kid versus a guy that legitimately has 4 black belts and trained a bunch of other styles and did MMA. I mean, I might have learned a few things. If you look at my
I mean, that's
sparring,
really all that matters. Is like, what can this guy bring, to the camp or to the table? It's like the knowledge.
Yeah, and I taught little things. Akop Stepanyan that fought in Bellator when I interviewed all the Russian fighters in the house they lived in, I taught him the calf kick. And then the next 2 fights later, he calf kicks this wrestler like so many times, and one time it literally flipped the guy feet to the air over end like a stunt man. You know, I taught Chinzo how to do the throat shove off the cage. He did it in RFA. I've taught some combinations and little pointers to people, and you know, some submissions to people. And in Japan, even better fighters than myself, at the end of class a couple times, I said, hey, let me show you this submission lock flow series. Let me show you this catch wrestling key lock. Let me show you this 10-finger guillotine. Let me show you this cobra neck crank from the front headlock system. I mean, and now people are thinking, man, Aikido, man, and they don't know. I put hours on each position in grappling. I have a playlist where I give everybody free at this point. It may not always be the case. An hour free. I'm the man of 1,000 submissions. I teach every position in grappling kind of before jiu-jitsu was leg locks and neck cranks and everything's jiu-jitsu. I taught already all that stuff, catch wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and everything, how to put it together, not for gi jiu-jitsu, but for no gi and for MMA and for self-defense, like a more reality focus, not barambolos and double sleeve and, you know, point stalling and stuff like that.
Well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. As always, thanks so much for watching till the end. Always appreciate your time. We're going to have more interviews with Dan the Wolfman, talking about how it was training with Judo Gene LaBelle, how it was training with Joe Rogan, and more. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and make sure to check out Dan the Wolfman's content, all linked in the description below. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.